see if this works. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the show. Oh, crap. I have to... Yeah, there it goes, and the song fades out. Isn't that nice? Huh? What are you talking about? All right. I've been playing around behind the scenes, largely because we had that big crash this morning, and I was like, I just kind of got to start from scratch. So I apologize if the show, it's Hal Sparks Mega Worldwide, it's the greatest live stream in the history of live streams, just gets forcefully better as the day goes on. I apologize for that. A lot of people are made uncomfortable by how amazing I make the show and how much effort I put into it. And they're just going to have to suck it. They're just going to have to, I guess, wilt and fall apart and cry and whatever miserable, sad, pathetic people do. And let's see. And I'll get us up on Instagram. We're going to try and see if that works this time around, because phew! And then grab that, and we grab this, and put it here. And, whoops. There you go. And then hopefully, chat room, I'll be able to bring you guys up even in a minute. We'll see whether that's possible or not. I think it's actually possible if I just do this. Oh, look at you guys. There you are. Hi. I guess you're just hanging out with me all the time. Isn't that nice? Hello. So I'm working on the reframing of stuff. I'm going to have to reshape some of the environment so that stuff fixes. And my overhead light is on because I've been working under my desk. And that's just unprofessional. I apologize. There was, oh yes, Instagram, right. I want to make sure that we get up and going on there before the fun starts. Oh, there we go. I don't want to regrow the thing, you silly person. What are you doing? Get out of here. Why is this so, what are you doing? Remind me later. Just pitiful. Okay, here we go. And let's see. Well, I'm going to go cross your fingers, kids, because it could explode. We don't know. I might be trying to do too much sexy too fast. Okay. So starting it up. Okay, hasn't blown up yet. Oh boy. And see if it goes up on Instagram and I can go live and then we'll be on there in a second. Oh, God. And, hey, there it is. Look at that. Hi, there you go. Super cool. Welcome to the show. Good to see you. Lots to cover today. The difficulty navigating some of the media that I cover on this show is that there's some incredibly serious issues, like the plane crash, like, I don't know, the incoming polio and measles epidemic, bird flu, everything. I don't know. Anyways, but I do find that it is my responsibility in some cases to cover that, which is why we do it in the morning show, where we can talk a little more about it at length, or the radio show tomorrow on WCPT Radio Chicago's Progressive Talk. Please check that out. It's 9 a.m. on Saturday. Sometimes the seriousness of the issue must be cut against the capability that we have to do anything about it, how much we're aware of it, because you can be over aware of certain things, you know what I mean? Like you can ruminate. Yeah, Instagram's live, I hope. If it doesn't blow up. Oh, you want to see something cool I did so I can see? Well, I'll wait. I'm going to wait. It's a surprise. I've been working on some stuff. So there is as we go through these stories, there is a lack of seriousness in how they're being handled by the administration, and I'm of two minds, as a Libra is wont to be, in terms of how to deal with them comedically. Because on the one hand, I could certainly joke about their idiocy in the place of this and make people think in some cases that I take the issue lightly. And so I would like to reiterate before we go into any of the things we're going to cover tonight and ongoing, and if you go back and watch my other shit and aren't quite sure, just because someone uses words to lighten a subject does not mean the subject is taken lightly. As a matter of fact, I find comedy to be a very serious business. And I think our ability to maintain and laugh in and during even the toughest times is a healthy reflex. We don't, as long as we don't move into the mockery of dismissal, like, fuck them, we're okay. And there is a point to which people take some issues so seriously and treat, like I said before, a crisis like an emergency, that they ultimately become paralyzed by the emergency, because a real emergency needs to be acted on right now in the face of all other concerns. That's what defines it as an emergency. Okay? Meanwhile, a crisis has possibly several solutions, maybe requires some incremental progress and some direct responses at times, right? So, I will agree, ladies and gentlemen, that we live in a time of crisis at its max. However, I will not react to anything that isn't an emergency like it is. Which is an emergency, for the record, is, in terms of where your emotion should go, is anything that is within your control that you can introduce a positive response to, or get the fuck out. Those are the two, right? And so the lesson of any emergency is be of use or get out of the way. And that's super crucial when people start thinking about the shit, the laser pointer bullshit that Trump is doing, like fucking Canada tariffs, to be a dick, and the fact that he is absolutely manipulating the stock market for his own benefit. And that's more about what this is, and it's genuinely going to hurt people. But it's, there's an argument that the economy is on such good footing thanks to Joe Biden. He believes he can afford to let it take a hit and then buy the dip, and his friends are gonna fuck the stock market. We know this. You and I directly right now can't do anything about that except be aware, inform other people, and take whatever tools we have to undermine his sense of authority and his ability to impact these things and use them. And the reality is that getting outraged doesn't help, because that's what he wants. He's a troll, and trolls want you to be upset. Trolls want you to be angry. That's that's bedrock for them. So just by not doing that, you're already depriving them of their primary victory. On top of that, if you're not only unmoved and not outraged, but completely capable of helping those around you that you can by volunteering or shoring up communities that are being attacked in any way that you can, right? That takes away, not only are they not taking away your power, you're actively using your power. And then on top of that, if you can achieve what would be the pinnacle of a crisis, which is, often you will see this in EMTs and police officers and doctors in emergency rooms. It sometimes shows up as gallows humor, but it is always a form of laughing in the face of the struggle. You realize you have achieved a next level ability to control said circumstance. Does that make sense? I hope so. So there we go. But who stops the troll? We do. That's what I'm saying. The trolls only have their power in that instance. So just letting you know, and here we go. All right, now, there's lots of trolls to deal with today. There's this lady, and by the way, can I just, is it wrong of me to enjoy just how fucking stupid and outrageously pathetic, outrageous Jimmy Dore is towards Bernie Sanders now? Like, again, how maggots have turned on rhinos, and you're like, dude, I thought you guys were on the same side. They literally vote with you 99% of the time, but if they're not 100% with you, they're just evil, right? It's not that they're bad or god damn it, those rhinos, oh shucks, they're worse than Democrats, right? Okay. Jimmy's that way with fucking Bernie Sanders. Okay. There's also this silly lady, which might be our first up. This is, but believe me, if Old Yeller stages a beachfront assault on America, I think we're going to be okay. I think she's going to save us. Meanwhile, this aviation safety thing that he signed, which was blaming Biden for shit that happened on his watch. And then there's JD Eyebrows, who's got a little extra gray in the temples. It's starting to show up. I don't know if he's not dying as consistently, or he's like the stress is hitting him. We don't know. And then I don't know what the fuck this is, but the Jeremy Corbell calls out Trump New Jersey drone cover up. There's no pleasing some people. That's just what Jesus said, sir. So we'll get started. God knows there are trillions of clips right now. But the issue that I have too is how fucking boring right-wing media has gotten all of a sudden. Because they honestly, the most outraged or freaked out or, excited they get is about, whether or not Trump's, whether, Tulsi Gabbard or RFK Jr. is going to, get the job he's put them up for. And they're still, ass hurt about Matt Gaetz. But that's it. The rest of it is just like, it's awesome. It's going to be awesome. And if it's not awesome right away, it's because it can't be awesome. And yes, he said it'd be quick and fast and bold and beautiful and immediate and super and great and all that stuff. And yes, it's not exactly happening the way he said it was. But it was better. So, all right. It's going to be good, I promise. He said it was going to be fast, but fast is, we're on God's time. I think is how we look at it. All right, so let's we can always look through a filter, but let's go, right to the horse's ass. JD Vance says is in a Fox News interview, I believe.
And here is part 2 of my exclusive interview with the Vice President, JD Vance.
Sorry, part 2? I want to wait, where's part 1? I'll have so many unanswered questions. Not that I'm not smart enough to figure out a sequel without watching the first movie. I think most of us are at this point. Am I going to be able to scroll through it? There's so many clips, CSL. Do you know where it is? I'll let him grab it and then we'll come back to it maybe. If it's in there. Is that good? If we can find part 1, because they're both short. All right, let's just start with jerk off number 1. This is Trump signing executive orders and the dude from Project 2025 handing him stuff like he's a fucking toddler. This is ultimately like one of these days is going to be Trump's will, and he's just going to just give everything to Ivanka.
Well, moments ago, President Trump signing an executive order and a memo. Here's the video of that. Watch.
Good. I'd ask Will to explain the first, but really more importantly, explain the second, and we'll start signing. Go ahead, please.
Yes, sir. Just 2 items for your signature today. The first.
Can you tell me what I'm signing? So I can go, that's a big one, That's a big one,
First is the formal commission appointing Chris Rochelot to be the Deputy Administrator of the Federal Aviation Administration.
Right.
And since the commissioner position...
Oh, you mean the position that was jobless during the last week when the crash actually happened because you were kicking people out for the fuck of it? You were halting all of your federal funding and shit like that, and you're just like, you threw fucking sand in the gears, and then we had a fucking helicopter/plane crash during the middle of maybe we do need people looking out for things, paying attention.
Since the administrator position is currently vacant, he will...
Really? Why is it vacant? How come it's vacant? What's it vacant? So you vacated the seat before you had somebody to put in? Why would you do something like that?
Act as the administrator since he's now been appointed deputy.
And he's a very capable guy.
Extremely experienced in aviation and highly regarded in the industry and in government.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Second, for your signature, we have a presidential memorandum titled...
He's signing a memo. Dude, you don't have like executive orders are one thing, but it just fucking, we're going to watch you sign memos? Jesus Christ.
Immediate assessment of aviation safety. In light of the damage done to aviation safety by the Biden administration's DEI and woke policies.
By the way, this is like the administration folks around him writing up this fucking like shit talk nonsense, adding it to this in light of nothing. There's no in light of it in this. This is just like, we're going to make sure that people were not in their position because they didn't deserve to be there. And like, dude, you couldn't get clearance. Trump himself couldn't get clearance to work in a fucking air traffic control tower.
What this presidential memorandum orders is for your Secretary of Transportation and FAA administrator in this
Look, notice how he's looking around the room like, huh? We're shitting on the tough language.
case, acting FAA administrator, to basically ensure that we are actively undoing all of that damage, that we are assessing how much damage was done, and that.
Well, I think you would do that. Wouldn't you want to assess how much damage was done to know if there was, I don't know, any damage done? If there was damage at all. And then you would seek to undo it. You wouldn't say, we're going to undo the damage, and then we'll seek to look for where the damage might have occurred. Oh, right. I'm sorry. I interrupted you. You were bullshitting.
We're ensuring that people hired within the FAA, in keeping with your memorandum of January 21st, are only the most outstanding, capable people for the jobs that they're being hired into.
In other words, competence.
Yes, sir. Elevating
Yeah, in other words.
competence over everything else instead of the DEI policies that were.
Instead of the black, lesbian, amputee, neurodiverse, anxiety-ridden lady that they thrust upon us. Right? That's the issue.
Pursued by the Biden administration.
I think everyone understands that.
Yeah, most people understand that was already the case.
And Obama,
Yes.
both of them. Okay, but Biden much worse, not even a contest. What they've done is just crazy in so many other ways. Okay?
No, not okay. You're an asshole. It's ridiculous. And again, can I just say for the record, ladies and gentlemen, that when I'm president, and just understand how I mean this, when I'm president, from the very second I take the oath to the very second that the next president takes the oath, everything that happens in between is my responsibility. It may not be my fault, but that doesn't matter. You understand how that works? Some problems could have a long wick. Some have a very short wick. Some none at all. They're an act of God. There may be a fault that started a long time ago, a fault that started in the last administration or in the last Congress, a fault that just occurred because we didn't know that there was a vulnerability there. No one gives a fuck. When you're in charge, it's your responsibility. You, singularly, have the ability to respond, to solve it. And you don't get any closer to responding to that by blaming anybody else. You just look like a piece of shit. As a leader, you know? And so that would be my line, right? Does that make sense? Okay, I mean, amongst adults. Okay, so I can't push my buttons because I have made buttons for this thing yet. There we go.
To be clear, are you saying race or gender played a role in this tragedy?
It may have, I don't know. Incompetence might have played a role. We'll let you know that, but.
Okay. In incompetence, it's some point along the chain leading to a mistake, a person not being competent in that circumstance, which is true of every accident that involves more than one person. Somebody was fucking up. Somebody ran the red light, right? So that's a baseline. The idea that you would float that incompetence exists because of someone's skin color, or that the fact that you think they were hired for that very thing, when fairly certain so far, crew of the plane was white, air traffic controller was white, pilot of the helicopter was white. None of them were neurodivergent amputees who were transgender and had, were on anxiety meds. Right?
We want the most competent people. We don't care what race they are. We want the most competent people, especially in those positions. And, you're talking about extremely complex things. And if they...
Yes, extremely complex things. Yes, things. That's the word I was looking for. Not processes, not systems, but things. Very complicated things.
They don't have a great brain, a great power of the brain, they're not going to...
Fuck me. See, that's the problem. This is really serious, and he goes and makes me laugh by being a complete shithead. Power of the brain. Fuck off.
And if they don't have a great brain, a great power of the brain, they're not going to be very good at what they do, and bad things will happen.
Power of the brain. The new Trump novel. An adventure of sex, confusion, and stubbed toes, taking place all in Trump Tower between someone who overseen by the sun that pours the concrete and the other one that snorts it. Fucking power of the brain.
There's long been concerns about the amount of congestion out of DC airport. Do you think that there's too many flights coming out of that airport?
No, I think we need very smart people running the flights and doing it. The ones that aren't
running the flights and doing it. Yeah. Slow. If you guys need me to play this at half speed so the technical mumbo jumbo doesn't overwhelm you.
Good. When they'll either do one of two things. They'll have too many coming in and they can't handle it, or they'll have the people waiting up in the air, which everyone's been caught in that situation, and circling the airports for an hour, and that's no good.
No, she doesn't mean right now, fuckwad. She means overall all the time. It's a very busy airport. Have they maxed out the traffic they can actually handle in this situation? That there are, let's say, 12 planes coming in on the regular, when in reality they can only handle 8. That's what she means. She doesn't mean like they're gonna have to hang out, dumb fuck. Good Lord. Thank you for the super chat, by the way. Oh, wait. You know what that reminds me of? Hold on. I've got to add a alert box. See, I don't have my Venmo thing up. I don't have my alert box going. I don't have any of that shit. See, like that? See that guy? Thank you for cheering, so I know where I can put it. And then I've got to put it in the votes as well, so it shows up on Instagram. I can't have the Instagram people thinking that like everybody's doing some great stuff and nobody not getting credit on Instagram. On the gram. By the way, I don't know if you guys know this, but apparently Blue Sky is adding an Instagram-like feature, and it's called Flash, which I think comes from not wow. So, but I don't know if it's a good idea. It's not quite the. Didn't sound exactly, it's like that old story, the 3 nuns sitting on a park bench, and a man comes over and flashes all 3 of them, and the first nun has a stroke, and the second one has a stroke, and the third one couldn't reach. But you get the point. All right, I dropped my... See, this is why I'm glad that lovely people... I've gotten that because it's the little like megaphone looking ones are a little cumbersome on my desk.
Mr. President, are you aware? Military helicopter training flights that are flying around National Airport all the time, what's your view? Should they be rolled back?
It's fine if they're in the right locations and if they're not at the same levels. I mean, if a plane coming in is at 300 feet or 400 feet and
then they're basically on the ground.
a helicopter's training at 300 or 400 feet, why wouldn't they be up 500 feet higher?
You mean at 800 and 900 feet? Because they would be in the jet wash of the fucking like the airport. Do you realize it doesn't matter what level they're at? At some point along all the way to the ground, they could crisscross and hit them. They'd be above them or below them. Up to a certain point, they couldn't go below, but always could be above. It's an angle, and there's. You see how the altitude, if they fly along at a flat altitude, at some point they could hit them if they cross the runway at all. They shouldn't be crossing the runway at all. Below, certainly below the altitude, that they, the landing altitude that they have, whatever, I think it's 1,400 feet or something like that.
So I certainly want, and that to a certain extent is the air traffic controller.
No, it isn't. They don't set the height for them.
Wait, please, wait just a second.
You feel like what happened last night was preventable?
I do, yeah. Oh, absolutely. And
Yes, if it could have solved by a simple application of whiteness, or perhaps off orange.
obviously, that was something that should not have happened. And
Brilliant. Thank you. Thank you. Dear leader has spoken.
we're not going to let it happen again. Yes, please.
Mr. President, on a slightly different subject, on your...
Real quick. You can say language matters. You can say, thank you, CSL. You can say, we're not going to let it happen again. What was his words again? Hold on.
Not going to let it happen again. Yes, please.
Yeah, we're not going to let it. You could say something like, we're going to make sure it doesn't happen again. Meaning, make sure is set standards by which it's not possible. Let it happen again sounds like you let it happen this time. You didn't let it happen. Nobody did. It was an accident. You could reset standards. I know that I'm nitpicking on language, but it matters because he's so fucking dumb.
Mr. President, on a slightly different subject, on your Canada and Mexico tariffs, will oil be included or excluded from those tariffs?
So we'll be announcing the tariffs on Canada and Mexico for a number of reasons. Number one is the people that have poured into our country so horribly and so much. Number two are the drugs.
Also, why the fuck Canada, though? For real. Nobody's pouring across the northern border. What the fuck?
Fentanyl and everything else that have come into the country.
Also, southern border, also more China than even Mexico or Canada.
Three are the massive subsidies that we're giving to Canada and to Mexico in the form of
All right, what do you mean subsidies?
deficits.
In the form of deficits. You mean trade deficits? You mean a giant country buys more from a small country than the small country buys from the giant country? What the fuck?
And I'll be putting the tariff of 25% on Canada and separately 25% on Mexico. And we will really have to do that because we have very big deficits with those countries. Those tariffs may or may not rise with time.
Will oil be part of that? No, because we get oil from Canada.
Oil is going to have nothing to do with it as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, yeah. Oil and gas, totally fine. We're going to buy Canadian oil. We won't put that on there. So, what is it? Fucking chicken and cheese?
Has nothing to do with it.
Mr. President, you said that confidence.
Regarding Guantanamo Bay, you want 30,000 new beds there. Is there a possibility that will increase, or is 30,000 the maximum?
Could increase, yes.
What would be the maximum?
It depends, but countries that won't take back their criminals that they sent into us, you know, they sent them to us. They put them into the caravans and they came in. As sure as you're standing there, they were sent by those countries. Then they're going to be met
As sure as you're standing there with that accent that's difficult for me to parse.
very harshly with sanctions, etc.
And when are you hoping to have Guantanamo Bay, this new facility, up and running?
It'll be up pretty quickly.
How much do you think it's going to cost?
Not very much. It's a lot of.
Yeah, quick, cheap, perfect, inescapable, and awesome. And if they do get out, what are we worried about? They'll just attack people in Cuba.
The structure is already there, as you know.
Mr. President, you said that incompetence may have played a role. Are you aware of any performance issues or disciplinary actions that were taken against anyone who was working the tower last night or flying the plane?
No, and I hope that's not the case in this case, but certainly over the years it's been the case, and it's the case.
What? Oh, what do you mean? Certainly over the years it's been the case. Sorry, with these people. She just asked you, like, this is just gibberish. I don't
With
know.
respect to close calls, and it's the case with respect to circling for hours on end. You know, planes circle a lot, and they circle because the people bringing them.
Oh my fucking God. This asshole, this is like him bitching about like water pressure in faucets in hotels. You get a little trickle of water or whatever. Like, no, you don't. Most people don't live like that. It happened to him once and he thinks it's ubiquitous. If it's happening to me, it must be happening to the plebes.
Down, these people that have to be very, very smart, and it's not based on anything other than the brain. We need the smart.
Jesus Christ. He's a moron. I'm like, I don't know why I'm still stunned. But like, he can't speak. Like listen to that sentence again. It's like toddlers are clearer. I was about to say it's like a toddler, but that's just wrong.
Very smart, and it's not based on anything other than the brain. We need the smartest people. We need both psychologically smart and just brilliant, period. And
psychologically smart. You know, not nuts.
And we are going to have them in our control towers. We are going to have the most competent people in the country in our control towers. Not
really? What are you going to do? Drive around in a van and round them up?
People that are there for any other reason.
What if they're here illegally, but they would make the most competent person in a... I'm fucking with you.
You said that you envision sending the 80-something thousand IRS agents hired under Biden to the border. What role do you see them playing?
Well, we'll see. I mean, I may do that, or I may use different people, but we're going to send more. We're going to give the Border Patrol.
He's talking out of his ass, lady.
Some help. Although now, if you look, they've taken in the lowest number since my administration. The numbers are very low. And at that level, we don't need so much help. People know not to come, because if they come, they're not going to make it in, and they're going to be shipped out.
Egypt's president.
By the way, just in case anybody thinks that this bullshit is like new or is just a rehash of his last presidency. If you'll recall, when Mitt Romney was running, you know, one of the good ones, he was talking about self-deportation. Remember that? Okay, one of the aspects of that conversation was that people were here, would go back home because we'd make it untenable for them here. And that in and of itself would keep people from coming, because these people had such a miserable time trying to work under the table here that they'd be, that the other people go, oh, fuck, I'm not going there. That was part of the plan back then. That's why this is Project 2025. This isn't his fucking brainchild. This is just, and part of the reason why it sounds so dumb is he's regurgitating shit he doesn't understand. He's spewing this out after he's heard it third hand from somebody, and he's got such bad reading comprehension, and I guess probably verbal comprehension as well, that when they're talking to him, he only grasps little bits of it, and then he just kind of slathers it together and shoves it out the door. He can't process it.
The King of Jordan have both said that they won't take in displaced people from Gaza like you suggested. Is there anything you can do to make them do that? I mean, tariffs...
Yeah, we're going to put a tariff on Egypt.
Against those countries, for example?
They will do it. They will do it.
What makes you say that?
They're going to do it. Okay? We do a lot for them, and they're going to do it.
Mr. President, you've
No. No, they won't. No. Now what? Yeah, they will. No, they won't. I came for an argument. No, you didn't. Yes, I did. No, you didn't. Yes, I did. No, you didn't. Wait, this isn't even an argument. Yes, it is. No, it isn't. Yes, it is. This is just contradiction. No, it isn't. Yes, it is.
offered over 2 million federal workers the option to resign immediately. There are 50,000 FAA employees. Does this tragedy give you reason to reconsider that option of resignations?
No, we don't need them. We just need the smart people, and all of the dumb people should be fired or leave. And anybody who would take my offer is obviously dumb, so.
Because of concerns about staffing issues on airline safety.
If people aren't coming to work, if they're not going to come into the office and report as per the date that you know what it is, everybody knows what the date is. It's been very well documented.
Yeah, what's the date? You don't remember, so that's why you're saying it that way? You don't remember? What's the date?
Then they're going to be terminated.
You're not concerned, though, that if many people take that offer, there could be shortages that could lead to
Then they'll be
safety issues?
replaced with very competent people.
From where? From where? What are you going to do? You're going to replace. They're going to raise the pay to attract other people, so it's going to cost more, right? They quit because fuck you, and to hire anybody who would work under these conditions, you're going to have to pay them more. Or what are you going to do? Pull from people who are unemployed? Maybe they're unemployed for a reason. At this point, when you got 4% unemployment, the people that don't have a job either don't want one or can't get one. What the fuck?
We have a lot of competent people in this country.
Have you spoken
Yes, they're all busy.
to any of the families of the victims of the plane crash?
I don't want to comment on that.
Do you have a plan to go visit the site or meet with any of the
I have a
first
plan to
responders?
visit, not the site, because you tell me, what's the site? The water?
Or to meet with the
Want me to go
first
swimming?
responders down there?
What a weird toss away. People have shown this too. I read this, but I didn't hear him say it or whatever. We want me to go swimming. Like, he's just being a prick about this. And like, it's just gross. You want me to go swimming? Their fucking body's still in the water, you asshole. Fuck you. And fuck anybody who likes you. Jesus Christ, man. You motherfuckers couldn't find anybody else who would enact these plans that could like marshal an ounce of even like faux sympathy. You can't manage it. There's nobody. There's nobody in the Republican Party that will pull off this awful shit that you want him to do and at least pretend to not be just a belligerent prick about everything. You can't find a fucking one. Here's your Messiah. Come and get him, Glenn Beck.
I don't have a plan to do that, but I will be meeting with some people that were very badly hurt with their family member, obviously, but I'll be meeting with.
They were very hurt. No, he means in mourning because they lost people. They weren't.
Some with the families, yeah.
On birthright citizenship, sir, do you believe that there are 5 votes on the Supreme Court that would uphold your position?
On what?
5 votes on the Supreme Court.
What position?
Birthright citizenship.
I think so, yeah.
No.
Look, birthright.
Look, as long as it's retroactive and we get rid of your wife and I guess at least, well, I guess all of your kids what was Ivana's status? Do we know? When Don and Eric were born, right? And Ivanka. Yeah.
Citizenship was, if you look back when this was passed and made, that was meant for the children of slaves. This was not meant for the whole world to come in and pile into the United States.
What? Birthright citizenship wasn't just for the children of slaves. What are you, nuts? Huh? All right. Like, okay, there's dumb and then there's this. Again, this goes to my point earlier, where like somebody will just yammer something, like some bullshit thing they saw on YouTube or something, and then he'll just repeat a chunk of it out of context.
United States of America, everybody coming in, and totally unqualified people with perhaps unqualified children. This wasn't meant for that. This was meant, when it was originally done, for the children of slaves. And that was a very good and noble thing to do, and I'm in favor of that 100%. But it wasn't meant for the entire world to occupy the United States.
So you don't see it requiring a constitutional amendment that would be...
I just think that we'll end up winning that court in the Supreme Court. I think we're going to win that case, and I look forward to winning it. This has been going on. We're at that level. We're the only country in the world that does this. There's no other country at this level. There's no other country in the world that does it. It's crazy.
Mr. President,
yeah, but that's why we're exceptional. Right? That's the point. That's what makes America special. Of course, China and Japan aren't going to have it, or like Middle Eastern countries, especially the ones that have been taken over by like Muslim transition, like Iran or something like that, where they moved in and killed everybody else. That's not the point. All right. What he meant was, let's see. Yeah, here we go. The individuals chosen intentionally U.S. born foreign and Native Americans living under tribal sovereignty. The Indian Citizenship Act of 1924. Over time, the courts, the same for unincorporated territories of Puerto Rico, Guam. Okay, the political opposition, just solely birthright citizenship, has arisen in the United States over the last several decades, punctuated by Trump. But I don't know if I read on Wikipedia on this. The clause was late to the amendment of 14. It was added to the 14th Amendment. But he goes, birthright citizenship is, well, hell, hold on. Let me see if this works. Hold on. Me solo. And then, hold on. I've got to open this up and then copy up to, I don't know why this wouldn't work. Properties. Okay. There we go. Boink. That kind of works. Okay. What is it? Square. Comfy chair. All right, here we go. And, okay. Birthright citizenship is explicitly guaranteed to anyone born in a legal jurisdiction in the U.S. government by the Citizenship Clause of the 14th Amendment to the United States Constitution, which states all persons born or naturalized in the United States are subject to the jurisdiction thereof, are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. This clause was a late addition to the amendment, made in order to clarify some of the drafters felt was already the law of the land. What some drafters felt was already the law of the land. That all those born to parents beholden to U.S. law, even of aliens, were guaranteed citizenship. Nonetheless, contrary laws in multiple states culminated in the Dred Scott v. Sanford decision, wherein the Supreme Court universally denied U.S. citizenship to African Americans, regardless of jurisdiction after their birth. The 14th Amendment was the Reconstruction Committee's primary post-Civil War response to this decision via the guarantee of the same federal privileges and immunities of all citizens of all states, thus necessitating the explicit definition of the term. Birthright citizenship was understood to be the law of the land. The reason it was added to the 14th Amendment was because there were southern states that were trying to carve out black people specifically. But it was already understood to be law of the land. Just letting you know. Hold on. See, I made that little thing. Isn't that cool? Hi there. I work for a living. All right, let's go back to this shit. And then, let's see, new messages. Thank you. All right.
64 people lost their lives last night. If you aren't confident that DEI had any role, why bring it up?
Well, all I'm talking about is competence. And we want in that particular position, we have to have the most competent people in our country because we're talking about lives.
Yeah, nobody's questioning that part of it, fuckwad. It's the part where you brought up DEI apropos of fucking nothing and assumed that competence is incongruent with diversity, equity, and inclusion. That those three things guarantee some lack of competence. That, and which makes it sound like, I don't know, to the uninitiated who have seen you hanging around with a dude who just made a Nazi salute, that you seem to think that if you start bringing in people of color or women or people with, I don't know, amputees, people in wheelchairs or something, you think they lack competence because of their circumstance automatically, which is is definitely racist, certainly bigoted.
Now, it may or may not have had to do, but I don't like the fact that the helicopter was at the exact same level.
Which is sort of, it's a black thing. It's a Black Hawk helicopter, and it's at the same level as a white airplane. Huh? You guys paying attention?
As the airplane. The helicopter should have...
How do you think the passengers felt? What the fuck? Who cares? You don't like the fact? Oh, well, we'll get right on that, Chief.
Been 1,000 feet or 500 feet above it.
You mean no? It could have also been nowhere near it. It could have been a truck instead of a helicopter. Maybe if it had birdie wings.
Or something below it. The plane was at 300 to 400 feet. Or the plane should have been stopped because the helicopter...
Yeah, stop. Like a fucking Bugs Bunny cartoon.
Could have stopped. The plane can't be stopped, but the plane was on a schedule that was, it was along a track. They call it a track.
They don't call it a track. They don't. They don't call it a track. No one calls it a track. What the fuck are you talking about? It was on approach. It was cleared for landing. It wasn't on a track.
And it's the same track that every other plane's used for many years. It was going down and landing. And the helicopter got in its...
It was going down and landing, and it just missed the landing part and just went down instead?
Way. And if the helicopter was higher or lower or stopped...
Or nowhere near it, or if it was a school bus that ran on rainbows.
Or turning left or turning right at a quick...
Or down, or up, or...
quicker time. I mean, it turned, but it turned when it was too late.
There's like Monday morning... This motherfucker would Monday morning quarterback a baseball game.
Tragic story. So, I don't know, do you blame it on the air traffic controller too, in addition to the pilots? Maybe the pilot's fault, they should have seen it. I would have thought they should have seen it. Because it was a plane that was loaded up with lights, and everybody, you can...
Was it loaded up with lights? I mean, these were living human beings, sure. Loaded up with lights. Fuck is wrong with you?
See it from Kennedy Center. You can see it very easily. So all I want is the most competent people in our country to be air traffic.
You can see it from the Kennedy Center. Could you see it from the fucking cockpit of the helicopter? You notice, can I just say, you notice that like largely he doesn't bring up the pilot of the helicopter at all. Just that it could have turned or they could have turned in this kind of abstract. But always that there was somebody in the traffic tower that didn't tell him enough. Now, we've heard the recording of the traffic of the air traffic controller going, pull back. Do you see them? Go behind them, which means hold off until they land and then come around behind them. And he didn't. He just ignored it. 30 seconds later, he was flying into the thing. Nobody knows quite why. Notice, we have a recording of it. We know he's heard it. We know he's heard the air traffic controller speak to the helicopter pilot. The plane has the right of way. It's in approach. It's cleared for landing. The helicopter is the one in the wrong. They were told, go around, go in behind this plane. Do you see them? Checking with them. And this asshole kept going, whoever they were, straight forward and smashed into the plane, period. Yes, it was an accident. Thank you, Norm. And so the idea that, if you hadn't heard the recordings of the tower stuff, maybe you could make some shit up and start throwing some stuff around. But we know he has heard it because he said he heard it.
controllers. It's a very important position, and other positions too, by the way. We're not only talking about that, we're talking, but air traffic.
Oh, yeah. What other positions?
Controllers, maybe in particular. They have to be brilliant with computers, brilliant with graphics. They have to be.
With graphics? I'm sorry, why? Do they need to be able to do like a poster for a concert while they're and draft up, like do those single line drawings with a pen while they're graphics?
Psychologically really, really smart.
I don't even know what that fucking means. Honest to God. I mean, I think I know what I think I know what he thinks it means, which I'm afraid makes me nuts. I think he just uses smart as a positive for anything of excellent value having to do with anything he regards around the human head. I'm not kidding. But they don't need to be, they don't need to be like armchair psychologists. What is this pilot thinking? Does he really think about this? What he just means is there's some concern in any of these situations, which you have to cover, that most plane crashes, that there's not a direct accidental reason, it's on purpose, and it's because the pilot or somebody involved caused the crash on purpose, intending to kill people. A lot of overseas, we see this. A lot of planes go down in Asia because the pilot just crashes the plane with everybody on it, right? That's the psychological aspect. But he's just hearing bits and pieces, and he's just slapping it together. I don't know what the fuck psychologically smart means at all.
And, there are a lot of people that wouldn't be able to do that.
About tariffs on Canada and Mexico, 25%. That's coming on Saturday?
That's coming on the 1st, Saturday.
But no oil tariffs.
No, I don't. Well, I didn't say that. You said that. No.
Well, I don't want to misinterpret.
No, we may or may not. We're going to make that determination probably tonight.
Hold on. You're going to put 25% tariffs on an allied country on our northern border, and you haven't even figured out what the fuck you're going to tariff yet? You're just going to announce which ones go into effect on the date they have to go into effect? And you're just going to fucking redline some of them at the last minute? Fucking hell. All the northern states that have people in trucks driving around with stickers that say the South will rise again, these folks are assholes, but they're going to be hit by this stuff harder than anybody else. It's just fucking lame.
Oil, yeah, because they send us oil. We'll see. It depends on what the price is. If the oil is properly priced, if they treat us
properly priced,
which they don't. Look, Mexico and Canada have never been good to us.
Real quick, didn't this motherfucker just spend the last fucking 4 years bragging about the USMCA? Wasn't the USMCA the best trade deal ever written in the history of fucking forever? And Canada and Mexico wanted to renegotiate it with Biden because they didn't like it so much. And this dumb motherfucker, I blame the USMCA. The USMCA sucks. If they were able to fuck us after the greatest trade deal ever signed, then I'm starting to question whether it was the greatest trade deal ever fucking signed, and what the fuck this asshole's been bragging about. For real. If I thought the USMCA was supposed to remedy this shit. Right? God damn, this is dumb. And nobody's asking him. No one's going, didn't the USMCA handle any of this shit? Nobody? Nobody's like, so are you just rescinding the USMCA then? Because this sounds like a violation of that trade agreement. So you negotiated the greatest trade deal ever, and you're just going to put it in the fucking shredder starting tomorrow. That's it. That's the whole, that's going to be it. Yeah. That's this motherfucker. This motherfucker. Yeah. I dare you. Bring up the USMCA. Bring it up. Say USMCA again, motherfucker. Say USMCA again.
Us on trade. They've treated us very unfairly on trade. And we will be able to make that up very quickly because we don't need the products that they have. We have all the oil you need. We have all the trees you need, meaning the lumber.
Thank you. Thanks for clarifying. I thought we were just opening arboreums.
We have more than almost anybody in those two categories.
In oil and trees? Shit. Oil and tree. What are you gonna do, you dumb motherfucker? Is that what's gonna happen tomorrow? Is this asshole gonna just put a fucking tariff on oil and trees? Jesus Christ. Hey, what do you think the cost of home prices is gonna do?
In oil, we have more than anybody, and we don't need anybody's trees.
God.
We have to free up some of the tree areas that we have. We have great lumber.
Is there a word for tree area? I'm trying to think of it. This is an area where there's a lot of trees, and usually there's a word where you can't see it. What's that word? You can't see the tree area for the trees, but right? It's a tree area. I think it's the UP in Michigan.
We're in this country. We have to free them up environmentally, which I can do very quickly.
Well, then do it, motherfucker. Maybe do it before you put a tariff on where we get the trees from right now, you stupid son of a bitch. Good God.
But we don't need what they have. And for us to be subsidizing Canada to the tune of...
I would like to say to all the Canadian ladies, we need what you have. I'm just saying, don't hold him against us. My time living in Canada and filming Queer as Folk, some of the sweetest memories of my life. Thank you, Canada. Thank you. So anything I can do, you just let us know, and we'll find some way around it. If you got some trees and you got to really get rid of them, just tell you what, we'll buy them. You just hang on to them until this asshole gets bounced out by his own people.
$175 billion a year, and subsidizing Mexico to the tune of $250 billion, $300 billion a year. And Mexico is a method of China sending in its product. And
he means cars, I think. But these aren't a trade deficit. Isn't us subsidizing them.
With China, I'm also thinking about something because they're sending fentanyl into our country, and because of that, they're causing us hundreds of thousands of deaths. So China is going to end up paying a tariff also for that, and we're in the process.
Yeah, less than Mexico and Canada. Like, Canada sends trees, gets fucked to the tune of 25%. China sends a drug that kills 100,000 people a year, 10%. Please, someone get me White House credentials. I signed up for it. I have not gotten a call. Let me check my email. I'm going to check every day. Son of a bitch. Don't go there. Okay. Oh, it's on the other computer. I don't have that email address on here. Believe me, I gave him the email address that's not on all my devices.
Subduing that. We'll make that determination of what it's going to be. But China has to stop sending fentanyl into our country and killing our people.
Mr. President, Israeli media has reported that conversations...
Hold on, wait. What does Canada have to do? Right? And again, you think you're going to release a 10% tariff on China if they stop sending fentanyl, which they're not going to admit they do in the first fucking place because it's under the table, you fucking lunatic. Meanwhile, Canada sells us wood because we buy it to build fucking houses, stupid.
between Netanyahu's government and the White House has signaled that the U.S. may be about to pull its troops out of Syria. Have you made a decision to pull
I don't know who said that. I mean, I don't know who said that, but we'll make a determination on that. We're not involved in Syria. Syria is its own mess. They got enough messes over there. They don't need us involved in every one.
Mr. President, is there a shortage of staff at the control tower?
And besides, if we're there, we'll have to, because of international law and our own laws, when the Russians wipe out a bunch of people, we have to make a note. And that's embarrassing for my relationship with Putin, so.
DCA last night, you're aware of?
Well, that's part of competence right there. They shouldn't have that happen. Right there is what I'm talking about.
Hold on. Real quick. Whoops. I don't know what he's talking about. I know what he's talking about. Shut up. All right. This part. Hold on. Shut up.
Last night, you're aware of a shortage of staff at the control tower.
Okay, there was a shortage of staff at the control tower. This is one of the stories that's come out, that the air traffic controller that was working was doing 2 jobs at once.
DCA last night.
So, real quick, if you're only going to fill the place with the most competent people and you want to fire anybody you don't see as competent when they're having a hard time hiring people to start with, where the fuck are you going to find these people? I'll tell you where you're going to find them. Military. You're gonna have to take people who are in the Air Force and give them an incentive to work at the FAA and still carry on as part of their military, I don't know, the extension of their reserves pay or something.
You're aware of?
Well, that's part of competence right there. They shouldn't have that happen. Right there is what I'm talking about.
No, you're not. No. You were blaming the single person there who was doing 2 jobs for being, assuming they sucked because they were black or handicapped or gay or some shit. And the reality is they were just understaffed. And you're going to magically find the most competent people in the world and I don't know, force them to be fucking FAA flight controllers?
Competence would be you're not going to have a shortage. But if you had the right people, you wouldn't need as many people either.
Yeah, that's what they thought in the fucking tower. That's why they had that one guy doing 2 jobs. How'd that work out, stupid?
Do you know if there was a shortage last night or not?
I don't know. No, I don't know.
Really? You don't? Really? It just happened, maybe you don't have access to that information? I'm sorry. You've been too busy crafting a "this ain't my fault" memo to sign on fucking camera.
You're telling me something.
Mr. President, you said earlier today that you had not spoken to Putin about this. When was the last time that you spoke with him? And has President Xi responded to your ask to help put pressure to end the war in Ukraine?
I won't comment on either of them, but we're doing very well with regard to both.
Mr. President?
No, you're not. What do you mean? You're considering it a positive, you haven't done any further damage?
Of course, that Xi might ask of you in order to give that help. Pressure.
It's Xi, it's not Xi. There is a Xi in Chinese names. It's Xi, XI.
To disavow potential Taiwan independence. Is that something that you would ever do?
We never discussed it.
You had said earlier that we would get more details about the victims on the plane. Can you give more on that now?
Yeah, we have
She just called him a moron. I heard it, you heard it.
I have a lot of details, but it's something that'll be released to you also at the appropriate time. No, I have the full details.
There were a lot of young people potentially?
Young people, great athletes, great skaters. Very sad situation.
If they weren't as good at skating, I guess it would be less so.
From numerous countries.
Hey, Sean Hannity here.
Jesus Christ. From numerous countries. Ugh. This dude is so fucking gross.